Well, good evening. Yeah, it's after dark. I can tell you that much. I haven't kept up with the time. But it's a couple hours after dark here in Central Texas. And we're going to take you on a little path from graduation to first couple of months in the military when I was a youngster. I guess I graduated high school. I was almost 20. And I'm standing behind this really tall guy. All I can remember his name was Dan. And he still lives in the same local little town there called Buffalo. And I'm standing behind him at graduation. He's like 6'5", I'm like 5'10". Completely blocked me out. They came to my name and they didn't see me because he was standing in front of me. So I had to dodge to the side. Here I am. So I went up and got my diploma, all that good stuff. Yay, I barely made it, but I made it. Hey. So after graduated, I've been working with Boyd Reeder at his Exxon station there in town, which the station doesn't even exist anymore. Taxes and regulations kind of put him out of business. But he owns a parts store on the same piece of property, so he's doing good. And so I'm working there, and I thought I got a better job. A little place called Champion Mobile Homes. It doesn't exist anymore. Tornado took it out. But anyway, I went to work out there, and I'd been working there all summer. It was 1980. We had record heat that year. We had 52 days straight of 100 degrees or better. Then we had a couple of days that were in the upper 90s, and then it went right back to 100, all the way up to September. So it was a hot year. So I'd worked there all summer. I'd lost 35 pounds. Didn't have that much to lose, but I was in the greatest shape of my life. So I decided I needed something better than just to work my butt off for the rest of my life without any hope whatsoever. So I said, well, I want to see the world. I think I'll join the military. They pay for all your travel. You might not get to see the best of places, but you'll get to see some. So that's what I did. After 3 days of not being there, even though I told them what I was doing, they said, okay, you're fired. No problem. We don't care. So I spent a whole week up in Dallas in a rat-infested motel the U.S. government had rented for us to stay while we were joining the military. Nice of them, huh? So I said, well, it's all good and fine, but you can't start your basic training until November. Well, that's the rest of September, October, and then into the first part of November before I could leave. So I got a job at a little truck stop, and at that time, there were no self-service pumps. You had an attendant there. He pumped your fuel, told him exactly how much you wanted. You went inside and paid, picked up whatever beverages and food you wanted to make the rest of the day or night. And I was driving an old rattle-trap Opel station wagon. No muffler, no tags. And no seat. I was sitting on a 5-gallon bucket driving down the highway to my house every day when I got off. And finally the day came, put me on a Greyhound bus. Back to Dallas, they gave me some carbon-copied paperwork that said you're going to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for your basic and AIT. Combat engineer, don't you know? Pioneer over most of Europe. So I went to basic, and it was okay. It was easy. I had a commercial driver's license. They found out about that about a month in, and they decided I should drive their trucks. So, but spent about half of my time doing all the training everybody else did, half the rest of my time driving a truck, hauling people and equipment from here to there. Graduation time comes. Well, we're almost there. We're about a week away. And the last week or two of basic AIT, you went out to the field and you lived in a what we called a GP Tiny. You had a half of a tent that buttoned to another guy's half of a tent. One of them little bitty, just looked like two blankets put over a piece of rope. Called it a tent. So we're doing our thing, and we're up to the last day of bivouac. That's what they called it at the time. And my group of 15 or 20 people had to go out on a map course. And what a map course is, you take the map, you take a compass, you navigate. They have boxes. You sign your name to a sheet of paper that says you made it. And that proved to the Army that you could use a map to navigate. So we get back to the marshalling area where we arrived that morning, and we were supposed to be taken out that afternoon. But sometime during the day it started snowing and got colder and crazy cold. By the time we entered the day, it had got down way below freezing, and the snow was about ankle deep. Well, there's really big snowflakes, and it was coming down to where you couldn't see a few meters in front of your face. I mean, very low sight distance. Well, we sat down on some logs that were in the marshalling area and commenced eating our sea rations. And that was the meals they had before MRE's, meals rejected by everyone. You have your little box, had 4 or 5 tin cans in it, and you never know what you're going to get till you open them. And if it wasn't rotten, you could eat it. Half the time, they weren't no good. So we're sitting there eating. Asked our drill sergeant who had accompanied us for the day, well, what's the pickup time? He said, well, it's supposed to be around between 3 and 5 if everybody had got back and completed the course. Well, we sat there watching it snow and wondering. And 3 o'clock came. 5 o'clock came. Still no sign of anybody coming to get us. The snow was halfway between your ankle and your knee at that time. And it started getting dark. I said, well, Sarge, I see those 55-gallon drums over there, and we could go out in the forest and pick up a bunch of dead tree limbs and such, and whatever we can find. And we could probably start a fire and try to stay warm out here. Take our tent halves or our ponchos, which are in our backpacks, and put them together and make a wind block for that north wind and have the fire on the south side of it. And should be able to stay pretty warm. Well, we rocked on there, and as the night progressed, no sign of anybody coming to get us. So we built the fire pretty good so we can stay warm. We're just still sitting on those old logs and sitting there telling jokes and lying to each other like guys will do. And we don't know what time it is, probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. We see a set of headlights. And we're guessing that they finally realized that we're still out in the field without any food or any way to take care of ourselves. We're up on top of a small mountain, a big hill, 1,500 feet. And the road was down below us, and we could see this set of headlights coming. And they tried several times to get up the hill where we're at. And we uncovered the fire so they could see we were up there. And they just turned around and went back. But sometime before daylight, they finally made it back out with a couple of trucks to get us. We went down to the hill to meet them once we saw the headlights coming, and got on the highway and got in the trucks and went back. Oh, by the time we got back, it was time to start another day. No sleep for you. Sorry about your luck. So we went out and did our morning run, a couple of miles, slipping and sliding through the snow and ice, and come back dressed in our uniforms, got it all cleaned up, went to breakfast, and a couple of days later we had our graduation ceremony from basic and AIT. Being as the weather was so bad, record snowfall for 25 years there in Missouri. The time it quit snowing, it was between your knee and your hip. pretty deep. And it warmed up and melted all the snow. We had our little graduation ceremony, and we all got our orders to go all around the world. Mine said you're going to someplace near the Rhein-Main Air Force Base, a reception center for the Army people coming into Europe. Well, I got there and stayed a few days, and they finally got me some orders, and it said Wild Flickin' Germany. Now, I had no idea what the hell a Wild Flickin' was, and truthfully, nobody ever did. We just knew it was someplace we never heard of, and we didn't want to be. Well, that afternoon they put me on a bus, similar to a Greyhound, and we drove for several hours and got to Wild Flickin'. Well, I get there and they put me in reception. They assigned me a unit to be a part of, and B Company 54th Engineer Battalion, Wild Flickin', Germany. So I hadn't been there a whole week, and they issued me all my equipment that you needed to be successful there, I guess. And they found out that I had a commercial driver's license, so they decided, you're going to be a driver of one of our trucks. And oh, wow, some trucks. Leftovers from Vietnam, welded up bullet holes, engines and transmissions that were gerrymandered together to make them go down the highway. And generally, just some wore out shit. So get all that done. We come up on Friday and I said, guess what? Get ready. We're going to the field for at least 10 days and maybe 2 weeks. And so I'm not knowing the way it's going there. I didn't have enough time to acclimate to the things they do and the way they do them. So between driving the truck and being air guard, which is a M60 machine gun on the roof of a damn truck, in the middle of the winter, freezing your ass off and turning blue. Finally get to where we're going to camp and set all up. We're close to the border with East Germany. And started snowing on us. Oh, guess what? In the next week, record snowfall for central Germany for the last 25 years. 2 in 2 months. It's already late February, early March, and it's snowing like hell. Well, there were places that was knee deep, places that was waist deep, and places that was armpit deep. So we didn't do a lot out there. We just kind of held the status quo and were resting out there on the border. Troop movement. That's all it was. Didn't amount to anything. And you get 1 box of food a day. Wasn't no hot food. They couldn't get the trailer kitchens out there to feed us. So you get 1 meal a day. Sitting there freezing their butt off. You got an M16 but no bullets. And just walking around out in the snow trying to stay warm. I did learn that a muffler on a big semi, if it were running, we couldn't cut the trucks off because it's so cold it would gel the fuel and we'd be out of luck. So you'd have your gloves on, you'd be soaking wet, your body heat would melt the snow. You'd grab the exhaust pipe on the truck until you couldn't stand it anymore, try to warm your hands. And one thing I learned there is leather gloves become hard as wood if you dry them with the exhaust pipe of the truck. So that was my first couple of weeks in the Army, or after graduation in basic and AIT. And my first few weeks in Germany. So we'll get onward and upward with a little at a time, tell you some of the stories about the guys and the crazy ass shit we all did. I'm amazed we all lived through it. We were pretty young, dumb, and full of something way back in the day. But some little shout outs to Jerry's Killer Bar, Miss Kim and Miss Robin, who were British girls working for this German bar in the little bitty town right outside of our Army post. But until next time, we'll have a good story for you next time. We'll tell you in the next few months. And then I'll tell you some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then getting out of there and coming back to the States and where I stationed here. And then to conclude my time in the Army and where I moved from there and what we did. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your night. We're going to have a cold one here. It's going to be -5 Celsius, about 10 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning when I wake up. Time to get out and get amongst them and get out in the field and get my work done for the day. But we'll see you next go around. Y'all be good and enjoy life. Bye.